Thank God for abortion. Thank God for abortion. Thank God for abortion. Thank God for abortion. Thank God.
Oh, well, hello. Good evening. You guys saw it there, so you kind of know what we're talking about tonight. Welcome. Before I get into that, welcome to Pop and Politics. Enemy territory here. Hey everybody, good evening. It's Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, and let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have Shelly E, Yana, T, and Colleen. All right, so you guys saw it at the beginning of the show. You saw that crazy clip. We're going to get into that and more, so hold on to your seats. It's going to be a crazy ride tonight. Before we get into that, I want to say join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. Subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Check us out on our website at www.metroconservativemedia.com for up-to-date information. We are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, it's time to set it off. Tonight, we are taking a look at basically who you are aligning yourselves with on different issues. Does your political party represent most of your views? If you are a person of color, does Black Lives Matter represent you? Are you comfortable aligning yourself with these organizations? And I mean really comfortable, because we're kind of at a crossroads in this country. Can you continue to be lukewarm, or is it time to reassess and make some changes? What matters to you most? Is it time to choose a side? So as you saw at the top of the show, that was a group out campaigning or protesting actually in support of abortion. This has been going on now for the past week since the leak of the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court leak over a week ago. And the fallout has been maddening. It's been crazy. So today, the Senate attempted to pass a bill that would make it a national law for abortion to be up until birth. So it didn't pass. It did not pass, but the Democrats were really pushing for it. Again, it was a bill that wanted women to be able to abort babies up until birth. So you could go a whole 9 months and say, I changed my mind and I want to have an abortion. So my question is, does this reflect the will of the country? Is this something women across the country want to do? We want to have the option to abort our child up to 9 months. So we want to talk about that. That's one of the topics we're going to talk about tonight. So I want to start off, if I could, with this clip. So let me see here. Take a look at this clip. This is clip 1 I want you guys to take a look at. May not have that up yet. What do you ladies think?
Culmination of what Republicans have been fighting for, angling for decades now, and we are going to fight back. I am angry because of who will pay the price for this. It will not be wealthy women. Wealthy women can get on an airplane. They can fly to another state. They can fly to another country. They can get the protection they need. This will fall on the poorest women in our country. This will fall on those who have been raped. This will fall on mothers who are already struggling to work 3 jobs to be able to support the children they have.
Those aren't even the ones that are getting abortions.
All right. So that was Elizabeth Warren. Oh wait, let me see. Yeah. So that was Elizabeth Warren talking about again the her. She was, as you can see, she was very upset about the opinion that came down that leaked. So I want to start with you, Shelly. What are your thoughts on what she said in that clip?
Yeah. It never ceases to amaze me what these Malcolm X called them, these white liberals that we should be aware of. It never ceases to amaze me how they will just assume and presume whatever they want onto quote unquote poor women and people who are not wealthy and able to get abortions. And usually what they want always has to do with something that is going to destroy, harm, kill the minority communities that they purport to be helping. So it's angry. It's amazing what she's angry about. She's not angry about talking about the history of Margaret Sanger coming into the Black community, killing and wanting to kill Black people even before they're born. That doesn't get her upset. What gets her upset is actually having a conversation, a national conversation, a state by state debate about abortion. That gets her upset, where it would actually be determined by people in their states instead of carte blanche by the Supreme Court. These leftists, they're not just liberals, they are leftists. Again, they are destructive and they are out to destroy our communities.
I want to go to you, Yana, because she made some really like outrageous statements. She's trying to basically say that if you are not able to have an abortion, then you're going to live a life of poverty. That this is going to destroy communities. Do you agree with that?
No, and that's fear mongering that a lot of young women receive when maybe they do find themselves in that situation where they are poor and nobody is supportive of them having a baby. So I actually want to talk about the fact that a lot of women are forced or maybe coerced or kind of pushed into making that decision by someone like Elizabeth Warren, saying that if you don't do it, if you don't kill your child, you're going to be miserable. So it's a terrible message, and it doesn't give any hope to women who actually might want to have that baby.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, T, on this? I mean, as a Black woman, she's actually talking to the Black community. Do we need her help? I mean, it's like we can't. She talks to us like we aren't be able to make it without this. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, she never said Black people. She said poor people, and that doesn't necessarily mean Black people. So the situations that she was mentioning, it's not most people that are getting abortions. I assume it's not going to be because they were raped or they don't have money to pay for their child. They may not have money to pay for their child, but they're getting abortions because they was having sex and using abortion as their what do you call it?
Birth control.
Birth control, yeah. So they're using abortion as their birth control. So that's most of the people who are getting abortions.
Yeah.
Not even talking to
the she did mention Black people at that was just a small clip. But if and I don't think we have the whole clip, but she did mention it as she was talking in that clip. I did see the whole thing. She does mention minorities, is what she says. She's speaking for all of us. So it's crazy. What are your thoughts on this, Colleen?
I mean, the left is so quick to call everybody a white knight or a white savior or something, but that's always what they are. And it's so frustrating because Elizabeth Warren really, I mean, she completely throws the idea of adoption out the window. And there's actually usually wait lists. I've heard that it's actually really hard to get an actual baby. to adopt. So if that's true and there's a need for babies, then why can't we just kind of try to shift the culture towards encouraging adoption rather than acting like their babies have no other choice but to die because we don't want them to live a life of poverty. So, if there really is such a need for newborn babies, then we really should, on the right, need to be pushing that back, that there actually is a want and a need for adopting newborns. I don't think a lot of mothers know that. I don't think they actually know that. So we really have to shift the whole culture. If the right is going to celebrate this win on overturning Roe v. Wade, they need to do their job and make sure that women feel like they have an alternative and that they will find good families for, I know.
Why is that the government's responsibility? How about the person who makes the baby, the man that helps to make the baby? Why not put the weight on those two people to take care of their babies?
Because of the policies that we've had over the last decades or so, we basically have to work against crappy policies that have been put in place that make it seem like we can only abort our children. So if we have to replace those policies by saying, how about adoption? You know what I mean? Because a huge argument on the left is, well, what are we going to do with these babies? Conservatives don't want our babies. Well, if there really is such a need for babies, well, there's your answer right there. So
you're saying make it easier for adoption.
Well, easier, not having to pay tens of thousands of dollars out of pocket just to get a child. A child, you can't put a price on a child's head. I'd rather they save that money and use it towards the child. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
I want to go to this next clip. Because this is Whoopi Goldberg, and I wanted you guys to hear what she has to say about this. This is clip 2.
The person to make that decision, my doctor and myself and my child, that's who makes the decision. And one of the things I really want to point out before we go is the reason abortion came about. Women in this country lived forever with it being illegal, okay? Women, when they decide something is not right for them, they're going to take it into their own hands.
All right, so that was Whoopi saying that this decision needs to stay out of the government, needs to be between, and if she wants to have an abortion, it needs to be between her doctor, and the baby that she's going to abort.
Child,
and the baby.
How much sense does that make?
That right there tells you how really they are.
Meant to say. I think that was like a slip of the tongue. I don't
a
think
Freudian slip.
Yeah, exactly. Because she was trying to make it seem like it's an honorable thing to do. Mm-hmm. To have an abortion, and it's this. And then at the end, she says, like, if a woman thinks that something is not right, she's gonna take it in her own hands. Well, you know what? There's lots of situations where we might feel that way, not pertaining, baby, maybe something else in our lives, but it doesn't mean we have to, do something about another human being if we do not like that human being.
Right. Not only that, but she doesn't even, we do know that if this decision is correct and Roe v. Wade is overturned, it does not abolish the abortion. The decision goes to the states. The states will decide. And that's actually where it should have been all this time. Your elected officials who you elect decide on your state's abortion guidelines.
Exactly.
So it's not going back to coat hangers, as she mentioned, which is that's arguable that was actually the way the land went. But she's not even talking about that.
Right. And look, KJ, I want to respond. You asked something, I forget what your question was initially, but over time, women in America, at least about 70% of women, give or take maybe 60%, according to, I think it was a Pew study or Gallup poll, they are in agreement for abortion the first trimester. After that, that percentage goes down drastically, you know, to the single digits, certainly by the time it's 9 months, right? So the left is not even using the statistics. They're not even following the science on their own side, because most people, by the time you get to 9 months, certainly in the second or third trimesters, they are against abortion or against aborting that baby. The first trimester, you might find a majority of people are saying, okay, we can understand that. So the left is egregious. They are lying. They are, again, I'm going to keep saying it, they are out to destroy us. And I'm saying us as women, as minority communities. I'm not a minority. You know, I don't call myself a minority, but I'm going to use their language. They are out to destroy this community, this society, any kind of civil society. They want to destroy it.
Yeah, exactly. And as you mentioned, they don't talk about the actual facts. They don't talk about what's real and what's actually going on. I want to get your thoughts on this, T. You know, as far as the way she's talking about this, is this the reality that most women want to do? As she mentioned, it's a decision between them, her child, and her doctor. No man, nobody else. This is just what it is.
Well, this is the whole point of the My Body, My Choice, because they're anti-man across the board. So they want to leave the man out of it anyway. Like it's her body, her choice. She can do whatever she wants to do. The man really has no rights. And even if she were to have the baby, you know, it'll still be a situation where the man doesn't have the rights. But that's before we get there. But yeah, it's just a part of the whole, their MO. It's a part of their agenda, is to eliminate family in the normal way anyway. So I don't know what they want us to do, but.
And what Shelly said, isn't there only like a few countries in the world that allow abortion up to 9 months? Like the majority, not just in America, people don't support abortions up to birth, but in the world as a whole. I think it was like North Korea was one of them, and China is another one. And
yeah, like, mostly totalitarian countries.
Right. Yep. And like where the government, you know, had some kind of restrictions on how many births a person can have. So it does kind of sounds like they really want to keep pushing this because they don't want more babies born.
Yeah, it does. And 1 out of 8 countries allow for elective abortion after 20 weeks. So we are one of those 1 out of 8. And as you mentioned, North Korea and China are also too. So, but what we try to compare ourselves to, which is, you know, the European countries, or, you know, Britain and our countries in the in that hemisphere, they don't do that. They don't allow this. So you would think industrialized countries, advanced industrialized countries, would not allow this, because it comes off as very barbaric. So this is another thing.
I want to say something that a lot of people might not agree with, because I since I was a former Democrat, I was very pro-choice, but I was always for first trimester only. Didn't know that everybody went as far as, 40 weeks. So basically, I still stand kind of firm. I'd say kind of firm on incest and rape, because I have to say, you know, and it sucks because I know that there are some people who were born as a product of rape and have said, you know, I'm so glad that my mother chose life and all that stuff. And I really commend those people. And I'm glad that they're here and everything like that. But like, I still do think of that extremely rare chance, talking like less than 1%, that this happens. You know what I mean? That, you know, somebody is knocked up at a young age and is like raped, or somebody who is, you know, in an incestual situation. I cannot fathom saying you're going to need to birth that child and just kind of figure it out. You know what I mean? And I don't discredit the life of that baby any less, but the mother is actually a victim of a crime in that scenario. So that is kind of where I have to put my judgment aside for that for those very small instances, and I'm talking very small.
Let me ask you
How
this,
many?
Colleen.
I
So
just
you
have
said-
I've heard that before.
How many women lie about that though? Would
I-
it,
because-
let's say the woman's not lying. And
Right.
you-
So
no,
the
but
only
how
way
can you
around
how
that,
can you check? Like if let's say
a
it's
police
just-
report. A
but
police
that's
report.
then. But if that's going to be the only thing that the women can do in order to get an abortion, don't
Yeah, so
think
can you
that-
imagine how rare that would be, that a man would
Exactly.
actually
But don't
be
you
next
think
to
women
somebody?
would go and say that
Why
I've
are
been
you even
raped?
talking about it?
I mean, Me Too is scary for men now. Could you imagine if they actually had to go and file a police report, say they got raped in order to get an abortion? Because then that also
my
brings
thing about
charges
it
on
is,
the man.
even if they're telling the truth,
Yeah.
and my heart goes out to anyone that is
Right.
abused, that is raped, that is in incestual, it's an incestual situation. But you mentioned something that was not true. You said you value the life of the fetus, of the child.
Personally, I do.
No, you don't, because you are actually giving the child the death penalty for a crime that the child did not do. So now
Right.
you're saying that the child will have to die, an innocent fetus dies because of something that a crazy person, an evil person, has committed an illegal act.
Right.
They're the only ones that are not. They're going to suffer because of this. Why is that?
I mean, I just can't. I can't imagine being raped. I really can't. I can't fathom that feeling, that thought. So I have to kind of sympathize with the woman in that position. And
But I
and
mean,
it-
she's,
and it- and I
she's
am
gonna be
disregarding
raped.
that
She's
life.
already raped. I mean, that's
Yeah.
terrible. So and.
I just
be
admitted
tough.
it. Like,
I'm
it
sure
is
it's gonna,
disregarding.
but I don't know. But I don't know if she's gonna feel better if she hasn't.
So Colleen, to your point, I'm going to answer it. Not even answer it, but let me say this: I used to volunteer for a few years at a crisis pregnancy center here in Baltimore City, right? So we talked to women who were seeking abortion, but we ministered to them. So one of the things that we learned is that coming at a woman like this and showing all these videos and even these extreme situations, that's not going to change their mind. So let me say this: I appreciate what you're saying. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can appreciate your heart behind it and the way you're thinking. I've met several women like that. And what happens is, what we found is that the best way to meet the needs of that woman in those situations is always one-on-one. So again, I appreciate what you're saying, but abortion was always supposed to have been safe, rare, and legal. So to your point, I would say that.
Right, because it does make it a slippery slope, even if you allow it in these rarest forms. But those are the only two very rare forms that and even we were talking about last week, the times that it's necessary to save the mother's life, which is still hard for me to understand that scenario, because removing the child from the mother, if you can't save the child afterwards, then that's one thing, but there's no need to actually kill the child if it's still fighting for life outside of the mother. So, but that's why, I don't allow people to use that excuse in a debate, but I will allow the conversation to take the turn of, well, what about in the scenario of rape and incest, which is extremely rare. So, yeah, I mean,
I want you guys to take a look.
That doesn't make you pro-choice, though. You're still.
I know. What am I, right? I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm so. I used to be completely pro-choice, and now I would probably tell any of my pregnant friends, if they were to ever, I would say congratulations and would absolutely encourage them to keep it. I wouldn't even consider abortion now. But, just like I said, there's only two rare instances.
Let me take a look. I want you guys to take a look at this next clip, because we know what the atmosphere we're in now. And you said something, Shelly, should be safe and rare. But what do Democrats want it to be? Take a look at this.
Hi there, I'm Viva Ruiz, and I am the creator of Thank God for Abortion. TGFA is about talking about how blessed we are to have both God and abortion in our lives. As a person who has had multiple abortions and who feels great about it, God is a part of me feeling great about that. I talk about this project being divinely guided because there was no ambition for this to be where it is now. It was a design because I was upset about people being offended by this idea of God being all right with abortion when I
So
She's demonic.
yeah. I mean, do you see God in this woman? I want to start with you, Yana.
No, she looks like a demon. She's hiding her eyes. She's wearing this really weird, like white and black thing. Like, so she's really channeling this kind of very demonic look about her. So, yeah, it's a blasphemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. God, this is, see how people twist stuff? And you see, she said she had multiple abortions. Multiple abortions.
I'm glad she did, actually. She doesn't need to bring any children in this world because she's crazy, mental. She has worms in her brain or something.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Wait a minute, how you gonna say yeah to that? You can't say yeah to that when you just got on Colleen about what
I know. I'm like,
you can't say yeah to that.
He didn't say anything about worms in her brain.
Well,
I can't say yeah to that.
I was agreeing to her saying she got worms in her brain. She was an idiot.
Well, we're out producing liberals. So if they continue to have abortions, and it's like, I think it's like conservative families have like 2 point something kids and liberals have like 1 point something kids or something. So we're already gonna beat them. We're already pretty much gonna get rid of Democrats in the next like 15 years at this rate. I mean, you know, if they really advocate for abortion so much, they're kind of knocking off their own voting.
No, something is really wrong with these people. No, I mean, it's like you can see it in them. Something they're not
normalize abortion. And that's where I got so screwed in my 20s. It was with the normalizing of abortion, because I wish that I knew more about a fetus as like an adult. As a young adult, because I feel like a lot of women that I know over the years have gotten abortions. I mean, in my young 20s, I've taken people to clinics. I mean, I've done it. Like, you know, I was a former Democrat, not taking to clinics, but been there afterwards or something like that. You know, I mean, I've been there. If I had as much knowledge as I do now, I would have said something. I would have, you know what I mean?
Look at what she said about how she tried to intertwine God into it. And that was what was so striking to me. And it's so anti, abortion is so anti God. And one thing that we realize this is not even, I mean, it's in the, it's Bible, it's part of the Bible, but not only that, but just the way our makeup is. God has created us to reproduce. We see it, as a woman, I see it. My body changes a certain time of the month. And I feel it's getting me ready to reproduce. It's not even something that you can just read about. It's actually physical. This is going on. And for her to sit there and say this is so contrary and so evil. It's evil. But somebody posted something today on social media that said the devil knows the Bible too. And they use the same, try to twist stuff around for us to make it seem like they're talking, with some sense or talking from God, but it's the evil, it's Satan, right there.
Yeah, and
God
she's
aside,
like a witch.
It doesn't make sense. Like, you ain't even got to bring God into this. It just doesn't make sense at all.
So,
like for someone who has
brought it into it though. She said,
"Yeah, she did."
That's what I'm saying.
T, what you said was
God she's talking
right.
about.
T, you said something was wrong with these people. And Colleen, you said something about, before. But look, Dr. James Dobson, I think everybody probably knows him. He's, of course, he's famous, pro-life Christian guy. He tells his story that he once took a woman, accompanied her to get an abortion, and to his everlasting regret. However, but T, what you said was that, I said that to say that to respond to you, Colleen. T, you said that something's wrong. Yeah, something is wrong. There's even research that shows, particularly after any abortion, but certainly after multiple abortions, women are emotionally, psychologically affected. So I think something is wrong with that woman. I really do. And I'm not saying that to be mean or even to be curt. Something I think is wrong with her.
Well, yeah, and it's true. Like, basically what happens is it's not just about abortion. It's about any like wrong deed. Like, for example, if you know someone who commits a crime, they have these justifications in their minds to make themselves feel like it wasn't as bad as what it really is. And one of the ways that how they try to deal with it, it's a wrong way to cope with it, is to actually keep doing the same thing over and over. So if you have a person who is committing crimes, he can't stop because he keeps saying like, oh no, that's my life, like that's what I gotta do, because he finds reasons, or she finds reasons why they have to keep doing it, because it makes it seem in their minds like they're actually doing the right thing.
Exactly. And you know, one thing that really gets me upset is when you have so-called pastors or people who claim to be leaders in faith-based institutions support this stuff. Now,
What most people would do?
It's one thing to say, you know what, I'm not going to comment on it as a religious person or as a faith-based leader. You know, I comment strictly on the Bible, and I'm not. But you have people like that disgusting, what was his name, Raphael Warnock in Georgia, who won his Senate seat, and he's a supporter. He's pro-life, and he's a proud pro-life supporter, and he announces it every chance he gets.
Pro-choice, or
I'm sorry, yes, pro-choice. He's pro-choice, and he announces it every. How can you even follow this man when the Bible clearly says we were made in his image? He knew he made us there before we even know that you're pregnant. They see he's there in our womb. He knows us in the womb. It's clear as day. But for him to come out and just proudly voice that he's pro-choice is despicable to me. And I would really like to see some of these comments. If you have a friend on your Facebook or your YouTube that is a supporter of Raphael Warnock, I would love for them to comment on this. So tell me how these two go together, abortion and a pastor supporting it. Help me understand that.
Same way the homosexuality in church goes together. I mean, the church is very lenient these days here. I don't know. They're not really going from the Bible.
Well,
I don't know what they want to do.
You're right about that. But again, I don't believe in turning anyone away who wants to, who says that they want to change their life, who wants to come to a faith-based institution. I don't believe in turning anyone away, but to actually get up and support these lifestyles and support these types of things that are totally against the Bible is ridiculous, and it's disgusting to me. It is. It's disgusting. And I would love for someone to comment about that believes this is okay. Help me understand where you're coming. All right, so we will move along because we have a couple more clips to go through. Speaking of this, this is someone, the next clip that we're about to play, this is someone that Raphael Warnock would probably support. He supports pro-choice. He supports a woman's rights for abortion. He's a pro-choice pastor, as he calls himself. So here's a pro-choice person for you right now.
When you have an abortion, what exactly do you do to have the abortion?
You go to the doctor and they put this little straw inside of your cervix and then inside of your uterus, and then they just suck the pregnancy out. And it was like a crappy dentist appointment or something. It was just like, this is like a body thing that's kind of uncomfortable. But then it was over, and I felt really just grateful that I wasn't pregnant anymore.
First of all,
oh my God!
First of all, she's lying. Suck the pregnancy out? What does that mean? You mean suck out the fetus? Suck the baby out? You see how the devil is tricky? You see how they try to twist stuff? What are your comments?
That was crazy.
I've actually seen it a few years. This is a few years ago. This is like during Obama. Like, I remember watching this video and I was appalled. I thought, like, why is she talking to children about this?
Was she their mother or she's a teacher? I wasn't sure.
No, they had this whole thing. They would invite adults to talk to children about these kind of things. Now, it
So
wasn't
this is not even a parent.
No.
Oh, well, then I say this is abuse.
This is a random person?
This is abuse.
This is a small clip. She was talking. She had a black boy on there. She had multiple kids on there, and they looking at her. You can see the innocence in these kids.
Yeah, and there was one child who literally told her that she should have not gotten to that point. I think it was a black boy actually who said something like, why did you get it to that point that you had to have an abortion? Weren't you, maybe you made bad choices? He said something like that.
And she said,
this is abuse.
And another thing what she said in that clip was that it was God's will or something like that for me to have an abortion.
Yeah. This is what they want. This is what we're talking about. This is where we're moving.
You're right, KP. It's evil. Yeah. It is. It's this whole evil spirit of all of the stuff that they're fighting for. Right. All of the things that they're fighting for, it's in that cloud of evilness. And I don't know how they support it. I don't get it.
You have people out here protesting.
Crazy.
Since this whole Roe v. Wade thing, they've been up protesting at the Supreme Court justices' homes. But here we are in a country right now where we're out of baby formula. We have a large scarcity on baby formula. We have gas prices are high. All these issues. And this is the Democrats' number one issue is abortion. Seems to me, actually, abortion is number one, LGBTQ is number two. So this is why I want to ask. I mean, if anyone's on here that's independent or is a Democrat, are these your number one and number two issues? Is this what you want? Some rando woman who looks like she stinks talking to kids and telling them an abortion is like going to the dentist.
Yeah.
I wish somebody would come and pull out all her teeth. Is that a little bit harsher for you if I came and knocked all your motherfucking teeth out your mouth?
Get nasty.
How's that? Maybe is that sort of like a dentist appointment for you? Stupid woman. All right.
So, hallelujah. Amen. But you know what? So this is one of the things that Democrats say about us. They say, oh, the Republicans or the conservative, they don't want change. They want everything to be the same. If this is included in everything not being the same, I don't want any parts of it. I'm on the right side then. I'm on the right side. I'll stay over here.
Yeah. Sanity. You're on the side of sanity. Yeah. I want to play this one, this next clip. Again, here's another Raphael Warnock. He supports all these people. Elizabeth Warren, Whoopi Goldberg, Hillary Clinton, all these Democrat heroes. This is who they are supporting. And I want to know, do you all, the audience, support these people too? Take a look at clip 5.
God killed his son. Why can't I? God murdered his son on that piece of shit wood. Come outside.
Oh. What is that, first of all?
Right. We actually met her.
We saw this woman.
We saw her.
The devil.
Right.
And she was crazy then.
The mandate. Yep. She was doing the exact same thing. She was out supporting abortion. She was dressed. This was like what, January?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, January.
Clothes on.
So look, I'm sorry.
Her breasts were hanging out.
These are the extremes we're talking about. These people can't be this crazy.
Like, no, these people are. These people are, but they are the extremes.
But I mean, the people who support abortion and pro-choice, they can't all be this crazy. Like,
see, how many people have come out against this woman or any of these people? How many times have we seen people in the Democrat Party say don't want anything to do with this part of their party? Zero. They are them. They are them. These
my
are the
goodness.
people on the front line at these abortion rallies, going to Supreme Court justices' homes. Yes, this is an abortion protest, pro-choice protest. This woman is out there protesting.
This is the same lady. She used to be
her.
homeless and crazy, and you know.
We saw her. She after she did all this at the Defeat the Mandate.
And you know what? When I saw her, I actually thought at first I thought that she was anti-abortion because I thought that she was doing like a stunt, like to show, like to do like a.
She's also
weird,
on drugs, guys.
Like I thought that she was gonna, she was showing how terrible abortion is, and like that's what I thought at first because I couldn't even believe that this is a supporter of abortion. Like
this reminds me of a black person being a minstrel again. She's being used to entertain, to degrade herself, to just look stupid. I think something is wrong with her, but she's like a black minstrel for the wrong. It's
can't take her as a logical person. I can't even take her seriously. Like
exactly.
I'm not even going to put it on her being a left here. I'm going to put it on her having a mental issue or mental issues and on drugs because
she is not.
She knows where she is. She knows.
The only thing she's on is demon. Only thing she on is demon. That's the only thing she on. Okay, the woman, she did all this at the Defeat the Mandates rally. Then I saw her at the end. She put on a coat. She was with some guy, some white guy, and they walked away like they had all the sense in the world. They were talking to each other. She was eating. She was calm. She was at the end of the rally. She was walking away. This woman is doing this, and she's part of the pro-choice movement. And I have not heard any leftist people, Democrats, pro-choice disavow her. They have not disavowed any of these protests that have been going on for the past week or so, as far as the Supreme Court justices. They haven't disavowed any of it.
I would support her to keep going to these things because I don't think she's doing justice for the movement. I think she's actually making it worse with that because I'm pretty sure, and like, let's say a reasonable thinking or, like a normal, well, if they exist, Democrat would look at this and be like, oh my God, like that would be like, this is what this movement is. This is what it looks like. I mean, when I saw her, I really didn't think that she was promoting abortion. I thought she was against abortion because she was showing how disgusting it was. Because when you look at her, you think like, oh my God, like I don't want to have any part of this.
This is what they they think
doing
like,
it.
Yeah, they think like this issue is a life or death issue. They feel this way. This is the issue. So it is, but they feel though this is the biggest issue of the lifetime, and so they feel like somebody like her is who they need on the front lines of.
Please, yes, that's exactly who they need.
Just like the KKK was an arm of the Democrat Party, these extremists are also an arm of the Democrat Party on this particular issue.
Yeah, and look what's happening. Look what happened. So we know the economy is in the dumps. Mm-hmm. We have supply chain shortages. Gas prices are high. We're laughing stocks on the world stage. 2 years ago, the Democrats, we had an election coming up, what they do? They unleashed BLM. Let out the BLM, guys. And they take the leashes off and let them out. Now, here we are coming up on another election time. And what they do? Come on, guys, time to let out this old ugly woman. We'll let her go naked, and then we got to let out the pro-choice people so they can make a whole issue out of this. This is what they do. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I hope this is going to wake somebody up like the BLM riots woke me up, because a lot of people saw all the craziness and no condemning from the Democrats. And that worried people. I mean, especially some of the neighbors of Supreme Court justices who may have voted Democrat their entire lives after seeing these protesters coming in their neighborhoods. Maybe they're going to think twice about voting Democrat again.
Well, maybe we're crazy. Because
it must be.
We are all on the right.
It's definitely me.
We are all conservatives. So, was it 3 of us are women of color? maybe we're crazy. And so if you ask Sunny Holston, she thinks that. Take a look at this clip. Clip number 6.
Oh, that's a good one, KJ. Look at you.
But I do say that I have many conservative values that I will talk to you about. And so if you look at your network that you're standing behind, yes, and when you look at your network that you're standing behind, you're saying that you look at Chris Cuomo.
I feel like that's an oxymoron, a black Republican.
You feel like it's an oxymoron? I do. Why? Your friend right here is a Republican.
We had this conversation many times.
You do, and you say you feel like it's an oxymoron that you're Catholic, but you also are pro-life.
I don't understand either.
No, you don't understand yourself. Then you have disagreements.
I understand myself. I don't understand either of
this, but it's not a personal conversation.
Yeah.
We're having a personal conversation about CNN
I don't
and how
black
things can get
Republicans,
leaked.
and I don't understand Latino Republicans.
Well, here's what
So that's what she said, and I can see why she probably don't understand much. But I want to get your guys' comments on that. I want to go to you, Shelly. As a black Republican, are you an oxymoron?
No, let me think. I think it's an oxymoron that she's trying to look like Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson combined, number one. So I have a problem with that. But let me tell you what I have a problem with. I don't understand how black people can be Democrat and owe their allegiance 95% of the time when they vote to Democrats. Why? Because these are the same people that had you hanging around trees, okay? That had you segregated based on your skin color, that wouldn't let you drink out of a water fountain because you were considered dirty. These are the same damn people that took straps to your ass. Okay, and you're gonna say you have a problem with black Republicans? Because of Republicans, your ass is free.
That's why she doesn't understand black Republicans, because she doesn't understand what liberty and freedom looks like. Yeah. So go ahead and be in your shackles. Go ahead. First of all, she's not even black. I mean, she might have some black in her. So what can she say about? Of course, she's not going to understand black Republicans because she don't understand black people. So, and my thing is, why is she even worried about it? Like, if she wants to be in this oppressed victimhood, let us do what we want to do. You don't have to understand us. Go about your business and go and be used and abused.
Yeah, used is a good word. What are your thoughts, Yana, on this?
Well, the other lady, I'm glad that she was responding to her and saying that she herself is an oxymoron. She mentioned that she's Catholic and pro-life, and yeah, that's an oxymoron. And she's very confused. And like T said, if you don't understand something, that was actually the whole thing from the left. It was always like, well, if you don't understand someone, like, let's say a person with another type of lifestyle, talk to them, find out from their perspective. But no, when it comes to people of color who are Republicans, no, they don't need to talk to them. They can just say we don't understand and criticize them, and there's no need to talk.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Colleen? You just actually became a Republican after being a Democrat for many years. Can you talk to that as far as why someone, African American or anyone for that chance, would be a Republican?
So
I don't think she can answer that.
Women on The View are basically like Biden's cheerleaders. So I mean, the way that the comments that they'll say are basically something that Biden wants Americans to say. I don't understand Black Republicans. I don't understand Latino Republicans. Like, that's what he wants us to really think. Like, I just don't get it. Like, what do you mean you don't get it? Like, we have so many options now to look at role models that are Black Republicans or Latino Republicans now, that it just sounds stupid, and it sounds like just straight up propaganda when you have her say stupid shit like that. I mean,
it's minimizing. She is minimizing these people. And it's like I was saying, it's the same like if they would criticize us for saying, well, we don't understand gay people, so we're not going to even talk to them. We're not going to even try to understand their perspective.
Oh.
And
they'll break out all of those classes. What are inclusion classes for us? You don't understand gay people. Oh, we got some DEI and B for you.
Yeah.
We got some critical theory for you.
Yeah. I can't. I mean, they've had controlled the culture for so long that they think that since they have the speakerphone, which is essentially the mainstream media, they have the loudspeaker to just be like, I don't understand this. We all think this way. It's like, no, we don't. I understand it. Like we can look to so many role models now. It's not uncommon to be a Black Republican now. I mean,
right.
You know,
right. It's shameful. And like you mentioned, we're not being used. We are able to think freely. We're able to form our own opinions. And as you mentioned, it's about, any other time they be talking about inclusivity and diversity. What is diverse about what she said? Nothing.
Right.
So having certain group of people or a certain race vote one particular way, how is that diversity? How is it accountability? Because when you have a large amount of people, because most people of color live or concentrate in urban communities, when you have situations like that, we get what we have in Baltimore City. They're all voting the same way, and there's no accountability. There's not a two-party system here.
Right.
So
the truth of
is very, very ignorant.
The truth of the matter is, people like Sunny Hostin, her Michael Jackson look-alike self. I'm going to keep saying that. The people like her, they're just
Jackson.
She looks like Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson combined. They're just upset that Black people are not Democrats. That you don't even have to be a Republican. As long as you're not a Democrat and you're Black, then they look down on you, period. The fact that we can think for ourselves, and it happens to be opposite 99.99% of the time of what she thinks or the Democrat Party thinks, then we're contemptible. We are deplorable, as Hillary Clinton called us one time. I'm a proud deplorable.
Right.
Look, and then the crazy part about that is, once they know that you're a Black Republican, or a Black conservative, they'll shoot you to the side like, "Hey, I'm really conservative too, but Master say I can't vote on the way I want them to vote. Master saying this. You're the ones on the plantation. Like, we're free.
Right.
We are literally free. Stay on the plantation talking about what Master wants you to say." Okay.
Well, we are moving right along. I mean, Shelly, you mentioned something about contempt. So that brings us to our next topic. Take a look at this. We're talking about the passing of Kevin Samuels. So we've talked about him on the show recently. Kevin Samuels, I think he was 51 or 56, 56 years old.
57, I think.
57. Okay, he died last couple of days. He died. The circumstances surrounding his passing are still being investigated, but it looks like he had some type of heart attack or stroke in his home. So it's very sad anytime someone passes. But we know Kevin Samuels, he was surrounded by controversy. And again, like I mentioned, he was a relationship advisor, mostly to Black women in the Black community. And so there were some differing views of his type of advice or how he gave it. So take a look at this clip as they discuss his passing.
Is he kidding me? Healing, healthy. This man was a hypocrite, in my honest opinion. He really was. I didn't find anything about him to be healing. He insulted African-American women on a consistent basis. One of his last statements that he said was that if you're over 38 and you haven't married or something like that, that you're no good and disposable. To me, he was a shock jock. And, I hope this is teaching folks a lesson about the karma that you put out, the negativity that you put out in the world, that when karma comes knocking at your door, she might not be so kind. So, the fact that he killed over real quick and was supposedly with a woman that we don't yet know the nationality, rest in peace.
Yep. So again, that was Vivica Fox. She was on her show talking about the passing of Kevin Samuels. Again, he was controversial, and his approach to relationship advice was seen as controversial. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on her comments. Start with you, Shelly. Do you agree or disagree? What do you think of the tone of what she said?
Woo! So when I first saw her, I came up with 4 words. That fake, phony, Botoxed Biddy does not know. I think that was 4, right, T?
That's a little bit more than 4. But
First of all, she's upset because Kevin Samuels was talking about her, people like her, okay? Yes, he was controversial. I've said that before, and I have said that I didn't like when he was embarrassing sometimes to some of the women callers, and maybe even degrading, not even maybe, even degrading, which what I thought. But however, or his advice was largely to women. He even said that he had women and couples that were married because of watching his show. Everything he put out was not bad or wrong or just because you didn't agree with it. But again, that fake, phony, Botox Biddy with her phony accent and her lips are too big that she can't even get the words out. Maybe she needs to just rest in peace.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I want to go to you, Yana. So again, that was Vivica Fox, actress. She is divorced. She's divorced. I think she's probably in her 50s. And so she had some, she mentioned that she wasn't a fan. She wasn't a fan of Kevin Samuels. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not surprised at all by her comments. I think she does convey the feeling of a lot of women who've heard him talk to women, and maybe some of the women who have spoken to him. So the whole thing about karma, I feel like a lot of women felt that way, and it's not. I mean, definitely, I didn't wish something like this on him. What actually, speaking about that, I mean, it was really sad what happened, and I found out that his mother had to learn from social media about his passing, that he didn't even have a person who was close to him and his family near him at that moment. So that's really sad. So, I mean, he is definitely controversial, and in the way he gave one advice, but then I don't know, his life was a bit strange, I have to say.
All right. And I want to get your thoughts on this, T. You as a single woman, probably would be one of the, could have been one of the audience for Kevin Samuels. She mentioned in her video that he said, women over 35 or older, single, with kids would be disposable. He didn't say that. He said they would actually be leftovers. Do you accept that?
Do I accept?
Do you think that's acceptable? To say that to a woman 35 older with kids who is unmarried, that they are leftover?
Well, we talked about that last week already. I thought we were talking about his death now. And for her comment to, you mentioned earlier, she said she wasn't a fan, but she is a fan because I hardly even watched the show. Kevin Samuels, like I may have seen maybe 4 or 5 of his videos, but so for people to actually know everything that he says, they're a fan. You watch the show, you're a fan. So it's like you're putting that stress on yourself. You know what he's going to say already. He's not changing for anyone. So yeah, all of these women that were saying bad things about his death, I think it's very disrespectful. And I think it's still showing and exposing that Black women do not want to be held accountable. We're still back here. The whole show that he was trying to get you all to see is that you got to be held accountable. And I'm a divorced woman, not a single woman. And me being a divorced woman and dating, I get the same talk from men. They're saying the same thing that Kevin Samuels is saying. It's just that he has the microphone. But I didn't think anything he said was controversial. I didn't think that, I think a lot of women are being unrealistic, and that's why they don't like him, because he's calling them out.
Now, what about you, Colleen? Were you familiar with Kevin Samuels? Did you feel like what she said, Vivica Fox, was out of the way, or was something that she was out of line with what she said?
I actually didn't know about Kevin Samuels until I started doing the show. But I mean, I think her words were a little harsh. For a man who just died. But I mean, I can understand where she's upset because, you know, from the quotes that I had seen, you know, he was a little harsh, honestly. So I can understand, but I mean, man just died. Did she really need to say that just now? You know, I don't know. Bad timing, a little distasteful.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like we mentioned at the top of the show, we can't deny he was controversial. He did say controversial things. You can even say he was rude. He was rude. Now he did have nuggets of truth.
It was hateful.
He did have nuggets of truth. He did. Some of the things he said were, you know, didn't make sense. His delivery was rude. It was distasteful. It was controversial.
And mean-spirited.
I don't even think that's arguable.
Yeah. I have to disagree with you. I'm sorry about that. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
How are you?
What are you disagreeing with? That he wasn't mean-spirited?
First things first, one at a time. What were you saying, Yana?
So would you not say that he was not mean-spirited?
I would say this.
Like they belong to any man, though. So it's not like we're ditching them.
But there's only one. But you can rebuttal that, man. But you're only supposed to belong to one.
Yes.
See, that's subjective variable bullshit. That's not an answer, man. Black men don't want to hear that we don't belong, because you don't expect every man to protect you. When somebody's going upside your head, you ain't asking Brad, Lee, Ahmed, Enrique, protect us. You asking a black man to protect you.
You're right.
So we don't give a shit if you don't feel like you belong to anybody else. White women, do white women act like they belong to white men?
Yes.
Yes or no? Do Hispanic women act like they belong to Hispanic men?
Absolutely.
Do Asian women act like they belong to Asian men?
What is he talking about?
Definitely.
Do Middle Eastern women act like they belong to Middle Eastern men?
Well, yeah, maybe that one.
Yes.
Do black women act like they belong to black men?
By and large, no. But
the fact that you had to even put a modifier on there says you are still conflicted with the reality you are seeing.
What is he talking about? White women believe that they belong to white men. When do white women ever say that? What is
he didn't say they said it. He was trying to make a concept. He was trying to teach a concept, a principle.
Why is he asking about those questions?
Yana's problem is Yana likes to listen to. Yana needs to listen to respond and not listening to react. Okay.
No. First of
all, you haven't answered Yana's question.
You haven't
answered any of Yana's questions that she asked.
Me finish. You guys have been going off all this.
You never finish. You always go to another point. You don't answer the question ever. You always swerve somewhere else and show us a video.
Go ahead, Yana. Ask it. Yeah, because I can do that. Go ahead, Yana. Ask your question.
Wasn't he mean-spirited?
No, he wasn't. Now, if you disagree with me, that doesn't matter. That's the answer to my question.
Of course it doesn't. Because, I just don't like the question.
The difference is this. Me saying the sky is blue and me saying the sky is fucking blue.
Don't you know what mean-spirited means?
The sky is blue. Yes, reason.
Thank you. You asked, I'm answering your question.
And so,
the difference is that men and women communicate differently. If I say, hey, ma, hey, yo, hey, and in your mind you go, I'm not going to respond to him because he's not calling me the proper name, and you get hit by a car because of it, it is not what or how something is being said. It is always what is being said, because it can cost you your life. And men and women think differently. And the problem is the women of our culture, which is what we're talking about, and you might not get that. I can understand that. That's fine. You might not get that. I can understand that. But that's what we're talking about right now, because no one else really dealt with it.
So now he thinks he's Chad saying the world's stupid.
Well, we can't have you go on too long, Chad.
I'm about to jump out. You asked me to finish. The reason I put that on is because the problem that women have is is how he sounded when what he was trying to expose was the video that was just shown.
Okay, can I comment on the video? Can I please tell me if I understand it correctly?
Please do.
So when he was telling to this black woman, he was trying.
Asking.
Okay, but asking. Well, he was actually telling her.
No, he was asking.
Hold on. I'm talking right now, and this is how I saw the video. Okay. So he is telling her, no, by asking her rhetorical questions, that is not asking questions, that is telling.
Rhetorical means there's
no.
response.
Can I finish?
Get it right then. Rhetorical means you're asking.
Rhetorical means you have the answer already. Chad, you can Google, maybe you can Google.
Right, so we're going
right.
to semantics right now. Please finish your point, Yana.
Can I finish?
Keep going.
Please. Can I?
Yes.
All right, then don't say anything until I'm done.
Yes.
Yana, just go.
So he is asking her a rhetorical question. So basically, he is telling her that look at all these women in the world. White women, they believe that they belong to white men. Asian women believe that they belong to Asian men. Middle Eastern women believe that they belong to Middle Eastern women. But black women are the only ones in the world that don't believe that they should belong to a black man.
That's not how it went down. That's not what I saw, Yana.
I'm sorry. No, but that's what I saw. This is what I saw.
That.
And he is telling her that she needs to believe that she needs to belong to a black man. Is that what he said to her?
That's not what he said at all.
So
that's not what
let
he
me
said
explain
at all.
what I saw.
Like I said,
What was he trying to say?
So he was trying to say by answering the question.
Mm-hmm. No, as I said, explain to her. Go ahead. Because she doesn't get it from me. So go ahead.
By answering that, he was using an example to try to bring it home to answer her question. So he was trying to make a point. Okay, so do Chinese people or Asian women think that they belong to their women? And you went down the line. And then when he goes to black women, she said, yes, right? Yes, they do. Yes. But when he gets to black women, she stuttered and she put a modifier.
And she said no herself.
If it's that. So, and eventually she said yes. So he was making the point that any other, while black women are talking about how they don't belong or she doesn't belong with black men, he was making the point to say black women are the only ones that think that.
No,
because any other culture.
But that's not true. So that's exactly what I said. He basically told her any other culture, women believe that they belong to their men. And in black culture, they do. But white women don't think that. What is he saying? Asian women, not all Asian women are going to say that, I believe I belong to a man. So you just did a modifier there
yourself. You just did a modifier there yourself.
Did he die a married man?
This is a logical thing.
Did he die? Did he die a married man?
He died with a one-night stand.
Oh!
With a one-night stand.
So the relationship guru was single.
No, I think he was actually divorced. He was divorced as well. I think he was divorced twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Excuse me. Go ahead. If somebody is divorced,
nothing wrong with that.
Right, they're still single.
I'm sorry, excuse me, but it is a separate category to be divorced versus single. It is a separate category. Yes, it is.
On the tax form, but not in reality.
But the point is that it is a separate category.
Well,
it is a separate category.
Somebody actually married me.
No.
What I'm saying is,
I'm leaving.
But at this point, the person is still single. At this point,
okay, and he can die with a one-night stand. What does that have to do with with the point he's trying to make?
Because he's hypocritical.
You know what was interesting?
He didn't say anything about him being married. He's never said that he should be married.
He was teaching people to have proper relationships. Women should not have one-night stands, but for men, it's okay.
But he's never said that about a woman or a man.
Yes, he has. I'm sure he has said to women
that they
should not be promiscuous.
Is
would he say that it's okay?
He hasn't, because he hasn't.
Yeah, he believes. This is what the issue is. First of all, if the man, 1 minute he's talking about submission and
belonging
and belonging to your man and all this type of stuff, then another minute he's talking about polygamy and you have multiple women and one night stand. None of it all made sense. I did watch him, and I think a lot of people watched him for entertainment. He was not someone to watch, as far as what I would say, most people watched him for actual advice. Most people watched for entertainment, and I did. I watched them all the time.
I watch them too sometimes.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with whether his advice was working or whether it was helping anyone. You know, people wanted to hear him tear down women night after night because it was entertaining.
I disagree.
Well, 70%
you guys have to forgive me.
of his viewers were women too. So
That says a lot. And you guys have to forgive me because the reason I'm so frustrated about this whole situation is the majority of what I've been hearing is that women have been celebrating his death. Mm-hmm. I have an issue with that. Okay,
well, yeah, we all said that was wrong. We did all say that was wrong.
So with this chick, I think Vivica Fox. I'm going to get to that. Vivica Fox. 50-year-old chick. Okay, the only thing this chick is known for, really, if you ask about Vivica Fox, it's she ate 50 Cent's ass. That's everybody. That's what pretty much everybody knows Vivica Fox.
All right, wait. I'm stopping you right there. I'm stopping you right there, please, for 1 moment. Please. 1 moment. Did you know that, Shelly?
Did I do what?
Did you know that about Vivica Fox?
I knew that she dated 50 Cent or
about what he said. Did you know that?
That's pretty much what.
Did you know, Colleen?
I didn't know who she was.
Did you, T?
He said she didn't even know who she was.
I've heard about it, but I know that I know her as an actress.
I don't know where you got that from. I think that's something that's not.
I mean, I didn't know about Kevin Samuels until you introduced me to him.
Outside of that, for this young lady to say, and we've heard the other. I don't know if you guys heard the other comments because this entire clip of all four of them pretty much did the exact same thing. It was because someone holds you accountable in this culture, which we're not used to. Because let's be realistic here. The first 3 years, the gentleman held men accountable for 3 straight years. No one said anything. For 3 years, he was telling men. And if you look at his older stuff, he was harder on men than he is on the women.
What did he say to men about promiscuity? Chad, no, I'm actually asking a question.
We don't have the same rules. We don't have the same rules.
It's not about holding people accountable. It's about being rude and nasty and ignorant the way he did it.
Okay, so he was rude and nasty and ignorant to men to the exact same way. About not
having the same rules. I do have a comment about that. Okay,
I get that.
Hold on.
I understand.
If a man has different rules, he still has sex with a woman, right? Hold on.
You went on this entire time, Yana. Let me.
No. I have another question. Can I ask another question?
Go ahead.
And it's actually for T as well. She mentioned that men and women have different rules when it comes to promiscuity. Okay. All right. So if a man thinks that it's not good for a woman to be promiscuous, how is it okay for a man to go and encourage a woman to go have a one-night stand with him? How is that right? And then turn around and say that it's not right for women to do
Why
that.
are you worried about what a man is doing? You should worry about what you do as
No. I'm not, because he's creating.
No,
wait a minute. You said encourage.
Yeah, she said encourage.
How do you know he encouraged her? She's a grown woman. I mean, maybe it was mutual.
And they just don't think for themselves. That's
because in one instance he says that women don't really think for themselves, and they need a leader. They need to belong to someone. That's a perception that he has.
Now you're changing your statement.
And that a woman has to belong to a man, and in the same instance he goes and he takes a woman to have a one-night stand with him. So isn't that disrespectful to a woman to say, you know what, I'm just going to use you for the night, and then I'm going to say that you shouldn't do that?
No, because she has a choice.
He's single. He can do. He's
has a
out
choice.
here. Like,
I mean, really
but if he's a guru, if he's someone who is like telling women how to behave, and then he's with a woman who doesn't even know anything about him or his family, and his mother has to learn from social media. He's with some random woman. What kind of message is he putting out into the world?
Well, Yana, guess what? If he hadn't died, none of us would know about that.
Okay, well, no. He has.
It's unfortunate that he died, but if he had not died, and that lady was not there, that nurse, none of us would not know who she was, what happened that night. Wouldn't even know necessarily that he stayed overnight with her.
What is the point?
The point is that it doesn't matter.
It does matter. It does.
He's
No,
an
it doesn't matter that he was there with her.
We are conservative women. Yes, it does matter. You on one side you're conservative.
The point
and
is that he didn't.
it's okay.
I'm saying it was mutual. It was mutual. They were both adults. They were both adults. Is what my point is that they were. He didn't force her, and she didn't force him. Is my point.
We know this. We know. We
That's
have to
my
move
point.
on. We actually have to move on. All I'll say is this. I'll say this. You know, the man. The way you live your life, people always talk about, you go to people's funerals or when someone passes and people talk about this person in a way, and it's generally how that person lived. What did they leave you with when they passed on? What did they leave you with do you miss them? And so we clearly see from the response that we've gotten about Kevin Samuels' passing, he certainly was controversial, and there have been a diverse amount of comments about him. Most not good. Even men have talked about him. Okay, so again, how you die. He died. He died with some rando chick, who didn't even know who to call when he passed out on top of her. So again, my heart goes out to his family, to his loved ones. I don't think it's right to talk about him in a nasty way, since he did pass, as far as saying, oh, I'm glad he died or anything. No, I'm not glad. I don't think anybody on this call is happy that he died. But you cannot expect people to react any differently to his passing based on the way he treated and spoke to women every day on his show.
And that's fine.
For anybody on this call to say that he was not rude, that he was not nasty.
You ain't hear nobody say that.
He was
not
not
me.
rude. He was not nasty. He was not rude. He was not nasty.
Okay, well, here we are.
He was truthful.
We will always
communicate. And for us to be conservative women who believe in logic and facts,
I don't have to be nasty. I don't have to be. I could say a whole lot on this show. I could. But I don't want to be nasty and I don't want to be rude.
I mean, why not?
Men and women will always communicate.
I could get real Kevin Samuels on you guys. But
nobody worried about that, KJ. Nobody's getting distressed. Nobody getting distressed, whatever. The point is that he is dead. He was controversial. Yes, I said he was rude sometimes too.
Yeah, he was.
And I
was
sometimes.
If he dies, you can't be shocked that people are saying certain actions.
Nobody, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. But Vivica Fox, I still think she's fake and phony in both times.
And I will say this, KJ, if you were to get very Kevin Samuels on everybody here, how it would be taken by us would be very different. I would not be offended if you got Kevin Samuels on anybody here. I wouldn't personally be offended because men and women are very different. We run our logic. We run our literal emotion through our logic. That's how men are. The majority of the time, women run their logic through their emotion. And that's why.
I don't think you have an idea, Chad, of how bad can someone go off on someone.
That's why the comment is usually it's how you say it from women and not what's being said.
So the only thing is maybe he shouldn't have been talking to women because the communication lines weren't the same. We translate things, interpret things.
And you're right, KJ.
So
I'm sorry, you're right, T.
Trying to talk to men.
Here's the crazy thing. In 10 years from now, in 15 years from now, when the numbers are still the same, then it'll be like what? Hey, you know what? Maybe he was telling the truth. In 15 years from now, when Gen X are now millennials.
By the way, we never said he didn't say the truth. We have said that he had said a lot of truth. He said it in a mean-spirited
way. It does not matter. If I
people say things in a mean way.
In the beginning, and you went off on me like I was wrong.
I never go off on
I didn't say he wasn't speaking truth. He has said things that were true. He has. But he was mean-spirited and rude. Okay? And if you say that
you're proving his point right now, Yana.
She has been. She's been proving my point the whole night.
I don't care because I know what rude means and I know what mean-spirited means. If you disagree with me, maybe you don't feel that way. But that is how a lot of people felt, and you can't disagree That's
Men
how he
think,
made a lot
women
of people
feel. That's the
feel.
difference.
Okay,
Men
and maybe it
think,
wasn't
women
helpful.
feel.
It was
That's the
not
difference.
helpful. It is not always helpful to be
They're
that
in the
way.
minority, Yana. They're talking to this stuff. They're in the minority. Most
Yeah, in
people
their little
who
man
watch them
group where they
believe
sit
that he
around
was
and they
rude.
hate on women.
Right. Most people believe that he was rude, and it is just. It just is. If you got talking about logic and numbers, you can check it.
It's all
He
about the
did
numbers.
have a lot of people watching and viewing. Over 1 million people viewed it. Most viewed it for entertainment purposes only, and most people thought he was rude and distasteful.
Anyway,
you took a poll?
So how can you be? I mean,
Did
the
you
dude
take
had
a
1
poll?
million followers on YouTube and Instagram.
And how can you be a
crazy.
strong man
That's
and be
crazy.
so rude to a female who you're supposed to, you see a female as like the supposedly subservient little creature, and you can be so mean and be so happy that this man was so rude to women. It's like it makes you happy.
It's two different cultures, Yana. It really is.
I'm a black woman.
It's two different cultures. Absolutely.
What two different cultures?
Yes, it's two different cultures. We're talking
What
about
do
the
you
black
mean
culture.
by
So what? Black women deserve
everybody knows that, Yana. And if you didn't know
What?
that,
Everybody. Oh no,
Yes,
everybody knows that only black women should be treated one way and white women should be treated differently.
no,
Is that
but the
what
majority, the numbers show that the majority of our women are a specific way.
What?
That's
We
what
like
the numbers show.
We like to be spoken to disrespectfully.
No.
He had mostly women calling his show. Why did mostly women call his show?
Huh?
The young lady
that
said,
called in there were insecure, and the women that called in that weren't, he would cut them off. They couldn't even finish a thought, a sentence.
Yeah, just like what's been happening here.
No, you've been going off, Yana. You have.
How much I had to fight for that?
Oh no, I'll let you go.
All
right.
Always
a pleasure, guys.
Thank you, Reed.
Any men are listening, please do not take advice from a man about relationships that is not in a successful relationship. Like if Kevin Samuels was not in a happy marriage for 20 fucking years, I don't want relationship advice from him. I'm tired of these fools.
I don't think it was that type of relationship advice. Like he wasn't saying this is how you should be with your lover. This is how he was just saying this is what men want, and you ladies either you're gonna comply or not.
And I really hope that his million followers know that they're not going to attract a high quality woman if they're going to follow Kevin Samuels' advice.
He had people on the show that got married. He said, I don't know how many
of these couples.
No, I'm saying I don't know how many
coming
couples, but he
out.
has said that people were married. Viewers on his show.
Yeah, he said it.
I mean, I don't disagree with the message. Like, okay, you got to take care of yourself. Take care of your body, be healthy. All that stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But
there's plenty of women that say that. There's plenty of other
right. So I'm not saying he was wrong on that, but he was mean spirited. That's all.
And why Yana, are you a leftover, Yana? Based off of what he said, you fit this. Are you a leftover?
If that's how he wants to, I mean, if he wanted to view me that way,
right mind would listen to him, call you a leftover.
You were listening to him. You watched the show every week.
You guys said women would call and get divorced. People have gotten married behind him. I watch it just like I watch Real World for entertainment. I watch Real Housewives of Atlanta.
And he would say to leftover women that they need to share their men. So no, even if he considers me that way, I'm not I would stay by myself then. I mean, okay, whatever. If nobody but I'm not gonna take someone else's man and be a second woman to somebody. Like
I think Reason made a good point though, and I think we've said this before in some form or fashion that for the most part, women we tend to think first, if you will, with our emotions, and it's hard for us to hear something that is said so matter-of-factly, so clearly, even if it sounds we say, oh, it sounds mean. Well, maybe it didn't come out in the best flowery terms, but there could have been some useful information behind what was said as well.
Right, but if it doesn't come out in flowery terms, and you're saying that women are emotional and like
we tend to be.
Right, tend to be. This has been from pretty much from the beginning of time.
That doesn't mean that he was wrong.
I didn't say
that.
We're not saying that. If this is the case, if this is how women are, if this is what how women receive things, then why talk to them this way?
But KJ, he had 70 million of them. He had 70 million of them.
It doesn't matter. There is a person on TikTok right now that has over 3 million followers, and all he does is point at stuff. It doesn't matter. People watch this stuff for entertainment.
So then you're saying that all the women, you're saying that the women that watch his show, then all of them were insecure or they were ignorant or whatever.
That called in?
Huh?
The ones that called in asking for advice.
But those were just the ones we saw. He had 70 plus million of them every week, every day.
You're not getting it. Forget it. We'll move on. We had to change. We're actually over time. My goodness. We'll just go to one last clip. This is we'll go to clip 8 if we could for the BLM leader Patrisse Cullors. If you guys have seen this in the news this week, she wasn't calling Kevin Samuels, but somebody did come calling at her door. Candace Owens came knocking at her door because she was doing a documentary on the fraud behind BLM. And Patrisse Cullors, who is the co-founder of BLM, did not take it kindly. Take a look.
When I looked at the video recording of what she was asking about, she was actually asking about the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation property. And for some reason, seems like she thought my house was that. It's unacceptable. When I looked at the video recording for me, this morning I woke up to Candace Owens being outside of my house with a news crew. She was demanding that I come outside. And when I looked at the video recording of what she was asking about, she was actually asking about the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation property. And for some reason, seems like she thought my house was that. It's unacceptable and it's dangerous that anybody, any stranger, come outside of my house, but it's really unacceptable and dangerous when Candace Owens, another Black woman who is actually working as a part of a right-wing agenda, comes outside of my house with cameras. As you all know, I've experienced, and many of us have experienced, death threats. Many of us have children. Many of us are super vulnerable. And the fact that she's came outside my house and demanded things, harassed me, is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. And I'm going to keep doing the work I need to do to make sure that I'm in right relationship with my community, but I'm not going to let the right wing and right-wing pundits and media try to drive me against my community and have the community driven against me.
Gosh, that was long.
Yeah. You're on mute, KJ.
We can't hear you.
She couldn't get out anything. Everything got caught in her mouth. I don't know what she was doing. But that was Patrisse Cullors, co-founder of BLM. She's upset that Candace Owens came to her home. Isn't that shocking? After they were protesting, you have people, from the left protesting SCOTUS houses, Supreme Court justices' houses all week over the last couple of weeks. Their houses protesting, screaming with signs. And Candace Owens, who I think is about 7 months pregnant, goes to her house with 2 camera guys and she's crying a fit. We didn't show that clip. She bawled. I mean, she broke down crying about this.
BLM actually came, I think this was in 2020. They came to Georgetown in DC and they were like hitting pots and pans and stuff. And they were telling people in Georgetown to give up their homes to let Black people or poor people, whoever they were, support. I guess it was BLM, so it would be Black people to live in their homes. They literally said that.
What's interesting is at the same time, I think that she was going live. I saw the live of Candace Owens going live and saying that this is not what even happened. She said she nicely went up there and asked her, she said it was all on camera. Whatever she said is all on camera. And so she's sitting here live and the ladies are crying on live. She's like, this is crazy. Like this is not even necessary because this is not what happened. It wasn't that serious.
Well, I like to say this, a little twist. I am all for protesting. You all know that. I'm all for 1A. But I am very much against people going to people's homes to protest, whether it's the left or the right. So, but to Candace Owens's, I don't know, maybe it was a mistake. Even Patrice Cullors mentioned that she thought it was the business address. So maybe Candace Owens did not know that was her personal residence. But I am very much against anybody going to anyone's personal property and residence to protest. The public square, by all means. But I don't care what side it is. I think if Candace Owens knew that that was her home, then I don't think she should have gone there.
Well, one, she wasn't going there to protest.
Right.
Okay.
She was doing a documentary. So this is something common where you have news crews do go to people's homes. She said she didn't even go in. She went to the gate because she lives in a gated community. She has security there. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like she bum rushed the place and had cameras in people's faces and things like that. Mm-hmm. Now I agree. I think it's out of line for people to go to people's homes to protest. But she certainly wasn't protesting. She was there to do a documentary, which I think is different.
It's true. We do see journalists do that all the time. If they're just investigating something, they might knock on the door and even try to get in that between the door. When they open the door a little bit, they'll try to ask them questions. I mean, we see that all the time.
Fair. That's fair. Documentary. That's fair.
Yes, and she never even saw Candace Owens. Actually, like I mentioned, her bodyguard or her hired staff met Candace Owens at the gate. And Candace didn't even get in. I think you said you saw that part, Colleen. Is that right? You saw that? What happened there?
Yeah, on Candace's show, she showed a clip of just her knocking on the gate or ringing the bell, and some guy came up to the gate and was like, "Can I help you?" She's like, "Oh, just looking for the owner. Just wanted to, talk about BLM's property or something like that." And it was like, "Yeah, I'll get back to you." And she was like, "Okay, thanks." And it was there was hardly any interaction. I mean, just
the video.
Gate. Yeah, it was between a gate. So,
and I think Project Veritas does that. They actually ambush people on the street.
Yeah, they do. Again, this is this whole hypocrisy again. This hypocrisy on the left, where they demonize anybody else that does something, but then if you do something even similar, they're okay to do something, but if you do it, it's totally wrong. And they're hypocrites. I mean, even when you talk about this whole my body, my choice and the abortion argument, for years, over the last couple of years, they were trying to force people to get the vaccine. I mean, if it wasn't for the Supreme Court shutting down that OSHA argument, everybody pretty much that works for someone else would have had to have gotten the vaccine against their will. If they did not want to get it, they would have had to have gotten it, or they would have lost their jobs. People did lose their jobs. But now it's all my body, my choice.
Conveniently.
Yes, conveniently. It's really sad, and I don't see how people can't see the hypocrisy behind that.
I'm just glad you didn't call Candace a white supremacist. I was expecting that. I was like, oh, here we go. Nope, she didn't say it.
No, but she said she was from the did she say the alt right or the far right?
Far right. That's one thing I wanted to ask you guys, because she kept making a point to say that. She said, she was like, this is another Black woman, but representing the alt right. So again, we kind of have that whole Sunny Holston thing, where again, just because of the color of someone's skin, they can't represent anything other than what the Democrats represent.
Can I also say Patrice Cullors turned off her comments on her live feed, so you couldn't even say anything. So that's what they do, and that's why they freak out about the Twitter takeover, because when they can't completely control the conversation, that would allow Candace to get into the comments and be like, "That's not what happened." You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, because they don't want to understand a woman of color who is also Republican.
Yeah. And that's what they do, though. You find where anytime, what's her name did it? What's her name? Will Smith's wife. She cut off the comments. Jada Pinkett Smith. She cut off the comments. Yeah, I know. And they hate debate. They hate debate. They hate critical thinking, questioning anything. They don't want it. They want to just control the narrative is what they want. And anything that goes against it, like a black Republican, they despise it because they can't control it. So that actually brings us to the end of the show. I want to get you guys any last thoughts on what we covered tonight. Any final themes? Yeah, well, all right.
Well, I mean, one thing I have to is disconnect. That's the kind of thought that I feeling that I have, because it's like disconnect. We talked about how they don't understand people. Then we have a disconnect between men and women, apparently. And so there's all this disconnect between people, and they're not able to communicate, not able to listen or talk to each other. It's sad.
Yeah, it is. And it's as we mentioned, at the top of the show, there's a choice. These issues, they're very striking, and we do have to look at it, research it, and make a choice on what side of the issue, what side of the argument are we on, and is this representing us? Are these institutions, these political parties, these organizations actually representing what matters to us most? Because we can see, they feel, the abortion is their number one priority. LGBTQ is the number one priority on the left. Even within the conservative party, we have different feelings on issues and things like that. Are we being represented, how we want to be represented on the right? So we have to make a choice. We have to make a choice. So I'll end on that. If no one else has anything, don't forget, tomorrow we have a big night planned. All of us are going to be attending the second annual Lincoln Reagan Douglas dinner with keynote speaker Winsome Earl Sears, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. That's tomorrow starting at 5:45. Dinner, dancing, music, and just going to be an all-out great time. So we hope you guys got your tickets, and we hope to see you tomorrow night in Baltimore. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for watching. I didn't get a chance to go through many of the comments tonight.
Don't worry about it now.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's right. So we will catch you again then next week. So again, continue the conversation by checking us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and subscribe. Share this broadcast. This was a really, definitely action-packed broadcast tonight. So please share this to your social media. That way, and subscribe. That way you get up-to-the-minute content when we post. And we appreciate the support. Check us out on our website at www.metroconservativemedia.com. We look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.